Namaskar. Thank you for this opportunity to be back at the India Ideas Conclave of India Foundation. Distinguished panelists, distinguished guests. The question that Jayant asked in the beginning, I was in two minds because I wanted to raise half a hand. The question was, is our governance system working well? No, it isn't working well. But to say that it isn't working at all would not be correct and would not put us in the right frame of mind. I think it is working. It is not working well. And it is important to say it is working even if it's not working well is because there is a debate globally about democracy. And as the single biggest democratic experiment ever in the history of the world and the most diverse and being lauded around the world for our success, we must see both the strengths that we have as well as the weaknesses that we need to overcome. This debate has, in the last decade or so, been called the debate between the so-called Washington consensus versus the Beijing consensus, because it is arguable that without democracy you can have governance of the kind that many non-democratic nations have shown. The question, of course, is that sustainable? And most thinkers would say, no, it is not sustainable. Our weakness as a democracy, or any democracy, is that it takes too long to build consensus. So how do we improve upon that? The fact remains that in our democratic setup, it requires superhuman capabilities to be able to deliver the aspirations of the people. Look at the kind of leadership we have today. It took 30 years to get this kind of a leadership. And even if you analyze the states which seem to be doing better, you will see superhuman leadership. That's not a great system. A great system should be systemically designed so that average and above average leaders, because we will have tens of thousands of people in different crucial positions, average and above average leaders should be able to deliver average and above average performance, not well below average. And the system that we inherited, because largely it remained unchanged from pre-independence structures, was not designed for governance primarily. Governance may have been a side benefit, and we continue to get certain side benefits from that structural system, except when a superhuman leader comes at the national or the state level and delivers more. But we need to make structural, systemic improvements. I have written and argued often about this, about the parliamentary changes that we need to have. I don't have the scope to talk about it at length, but we'll be happy to take it on in question and answer. Some of you know that I got into a little bit of trouble with the privilege motion from the Rajya Sabha house that Rajiv Chandrasekhar belongs to for expressing my opinion that we should debate reforms in the Rajya Sabha's powers. We, not just in the Rajya Sabha, but also in the Lok Sabha, we have rules that are from 19th century England, which the UK itself has changed, which other democracies have thrown away. And I gave comparisons of other democracies where I pointed out that you should have checks and balances, but you can't have complete vetoes which goes against the mandate of the people. So as far as the Rajya Sabha is concerned, if you look around the world, if you look around other democracies, you will find that either the upper house is directly elected, in which case they have much more power, or if they are indirectly elected or appointed, they have a certain degree of power where they can act as a check and balance for a while, but not a permanent veto. And yet just raising the idea that we should discuss this got some people so outraged that I had that privilege motion against me. Now, regarding the judiciary, I believe it is the single most necessary reform that we must undertake. Apart from economic issues, there have been studies that show that the GDP would gain at least 2% extra per year if judicial outcomes could be predictable and could be on time. But apart from economic outcomes, no system, no country can function if the certainty of adjudication of disputes is not there in a certain time frame. We will talk more about this as we go into the discussion. The final thing I want to say is that we have inherited an over-centralized system. Again, because it is an inherited system which was not designed for governance, it was designed for control. And perhaps because of the history of our birth as a republic, because we had partition, it may have been necessary to exercise more central control. But to have remote control of the needs of a village from 1,000 miles away doesn't work. And changes are happening. Today there is more fiscal devolution happening. We need to talk about the structural changes that need to go with these kind of fiscal devolution to make it more effective. So without further ado, I will conclude with that, and we'll be happy to discuss this in the Q&A following this. Thank you very much.